Daytime is here, here comes the sun.
Agetec's Magic Pengel, the Quest for Color for the PlayStation 2, is quite unlike any other game on the market right now. It's kind of similar to Tecmo's Monster Rancher series, but even that is a pretty thin comparison. It does some really interesting, unique stuff. It has amazing visual style, but the attraction is going to be pretty limited. Not a lot of people are going to be into what the game has to offer, but the people that will be interested in it will probably get deep into it. The whole premise behind Magic Pengel, the Quest for Color, revolves around this world where Pengels, which are these little fairy-type creatures that have paintbrushes on their butts, can be used to draw doodles, which are just little 2D drawings, little childlike doodles, which then magically somehow come off the page and turn into real 3D creatures. In the game, the story of the game, you play this anonymous doodler, this faceless doodler, who befriends this young girl Zoe and her little brother Taro, whose father has been taken away from them by the government. Now, the government in this world wants to have control over all the doodles, real, kind of evil, nasty kingdom stuff. So you take on the task of trying to help them get their father back, and that's how the story goes. The story can be kind of convoluted, and it's a little bit pretentious. It's a little bit too kind of faux spiritual, which is pretty common for a lot of anime. But you don't really need to have a deep understanding and appreciation of the storyline to have fun with Magic Pengel. So the core mechanics in Magic Pengel are to draw your doodles and then to fight your doodles. The drawing of the doodles is the most comprehensive and full-featured part of the game, and it's really fascinating. It's a pretty amazing system that they've created for this game. Basically, you're given a blank slate, and you can then draw you start off being able to just draw a crude little basic shape for the body of your doodle. Once you've done that, the doodle actually then becomes a 3D object in the game. The game is otherwise rendered in full 3D. So the game engine somehow figures out what that shape will look like in a 3D space. And it's pretty amazing. It does some pretty cool stuff with it. So you start off with just this basic shape, and then you take your doodle and then you put it into a sort of stadium-type competition against other doodles. Once you start winning competitions with your doodle, then you can get more ink so that you can add different parts to your doodle, and you also get different templates so that you can make arm-type pieces for your doodle, or leg pieces, wing pieces. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can earn as you go through the game, allowing you to make your doodles much more full-featured. The arm pieces move and work like arms, and the way that you actually design your doodle will impact how it performs in combat. And even the colors that you use, which you'll start off with a base of 4 colors, and it will also expand as you continue to win. The colors that you use help define what sort of attacks your doodle will be most proficient in. Now, the combat in the game, which is the other thing that you'll be doing the most of in Magic Pengel, the combat isn't quite as good, or it's okay, but it's not as full-featured as the doodle creation system. The doodle creation system is amazing, and you'll probably spend at least half of your time while playing the game in there tweaking and creating your doodles. The combat system is basically a glorified version of rock, paper, scissors. So you have 3 basic sort of offensive attacks. You can do an attack, you can do a magic, or you can do a block. How it works is that each kind of move is strong against another kind of move, but weak against a different one. So, for example, if you decide to launch an attack against your opponent, and your opponent decides to launch a magic, then your opponent's going to win that competition. He'll deal damage to you, he'll go unscathed. If both combatants use the same kind of attack, let's say you both do block, then you'll both do attacks and you'll both deal damage, though whoever has a higher agility rating will go first. It's all turn-based. It feels very much like an RPG during the combat sequences, other than this sort of weird system they have in place. And there is a lot of luck to it, which is kind of takes away from the whole experience. It's not entirely luck-based, though. But that's not all that Magic Pengel has going for it. The game also has an amazing visual style to it. The art direction is top-notch. And actually the studio that was responsible for Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away had a hand in creating the characters and the environments for the game. So, and that really comes across because the game has a very anime influence feel to it. All the characters that you'll meet in town all have a very caricatured look to them. And the whole cartoon thing is further cemented by the fact that everyone has a real flat-shaded look to them. And it works. It looks good. It's a very unique, peculiar style. And the environments themselves also look really good. The town that the majority of the game takes place in is just dense with detail. There's lots of small movement everywhere that just makes the whole thing look busy. And the game uses an incredible color palette, lots of pastels, gives it a very lively feel. The game really uses just smart, thoughtful art direction to its advantage instead of trying to go for raw technical prowess, and it works. And the doodles themselves look really unique as well. They also use a sort of flat-shaded effect to achieve a cartoonish look, but they also have this real crude black outline around everything that you draw that just makes it look like it looks like it's drawn by a crayon by a small child. So it does very much give it that sort of hand-drawn look, and it works great. The sound also kind of contributes to the overall cartoony feel of the game, but it's a little bit more hit and miss. It doesn't quite do it as well. The soundtrack, the music that you hear in the game, covers a pretty wide range. The opening theme to the game is very soft acoustic guitar music, and then there's a title screen music, which is this big festive song with lyrics. And then there's just sort of chill, laid-back music for when you're creating your doodles, and then it's really sort of tense, exciting music for when you're in battle. So it covers a good range, but there's not a whole lot. Just there's maybe a half dozen, maybe a few more songs in total in the game. But what's there is pretty good. For voice acting, it's good. Most of it's delivered in a real big, sort of exaggerated way, which again, that works in the context of the game. So overall, there's some really amazing stuff in Magic Pengel, specifically the whole dual creation system. I've never seen a character creation system quite like it. It's got a lot of depth to it. It's really interesting and sort of archaic because you don't really know how the design of your doodle is ultimately going to affect its performance, but you just experiment with it, and you can tweak what you have, and you can redesign stuff if you don't like it. You can toss designs entirely and start over. People that are into the sort of quirky Japanese games will definitely love Magic Pengel. There is a lot of stuff to love about it. The visual style is great. Like I said repeatedly, the character creation stuff's good. The combat system is unfortunately a bit shallow. It's kind of interesting, and it will definitely, it's good enough that you won't feel like it's a drag to play it, but there just isn't a whole lot to it. It just could have been better. The audience for this game is limited, but if you think that either the concept or the art direction is intriguing, you owe it to yourself to check this one out.
Red, yellow, orange, green, and blue, dancing all around.